Welcome back to CCU. We're going to go through today and spotlight a couple of the Trilogy mid-range discs and begin with the Westside discs Harp, which is maybe not a mid-range, but it can be considered a mid-range. The one I have is Origio Burst. Numbers are 4303. Next I have the Dynamic Discs Bounty in Lucid. The numbers are 45, -1.5, and 0.5. I have a retro fuse from Latitude 64. It is 56, -10. I have one of my favorites, the Dynamic Discs Verdict. Numbers are 5403.5, so very overstable. One that I picked up in a player's pack is an Origio 177 gram Gatekeeper. Not sure of the numbers, but I believe it's like 4502 or 5402, something like that. And last but not least, a compass from Latitude 64, Opto plastic, 5501. So again, we have Opto plastic. The Harp is Origio, the Bounty is Lucid, the fuse is retro, the Verdict is Lucid, the Gatekeeper is, I believe that would be considered Origio, and again the compass is Opto. So let's get to throwing and see what happens. I'm going to start with the Latitude 64 compass. The basket that's off in the distance out there between the trees, not the one obviously closest, but the one off in the distance between the trees, has been lasered at 285 feet. I can see it comes out of my hand pretty straight, pretty flat. That was a touch nose up, but you definitely get the 0-1. There's no turn to it at all, but there is a slight fade, and that's out there probably 255, 260 most. Here's the Westside Discs Harp in Origio. Pulled it, kind of barely nicked the tree, but you can see it was starting to hyzer out. The Westside Discs Gatekeeper. I like the feel of this disc. It's very slim profile. It almost feels like a Truth, but it's a flat, slim profile. Comes out flat. It's supposed to have a 2 fade, and probably in a different plastic it would, but it basically flies exactly the same as the compass for me. It's out there about that 255, 260 mark. One of the ones that I actually bag is a Lucid Bounty. I bag it for my understable mid-range. And right into the tree. I have to get some more shots of that one because that's a really, really good feeling disc. Here we have the Lucid Verdict, very overstable. Cuts through the tree again. I'm probably going to wind up having to reshoot that one as well. And last but not least, the Latitude 64 fuse. This one, again, it's pretty slim, but it flies out flat for me, flies out flat, and then gets a very late turn. So it's a unique shape that I love. It flips up to flat, glides straight, flat, and basically finishes somewhere in the 270-ish range. All right. Well, this is like the 3rd or 4th time I've had to do this because something happens and it won't record. But anyways, I've thrown all the discs down once. You've seen those already. I went and retrieved them, brought them back. The basket is now, I've moved up a little closer because of the sunlight, but the basket off in the distance is somewhere around the 255, 260 mark. I haven't lasered it, but that's around where it is. My goal, because it's a mid-range that I'm testing, is to be able to go directly between those trees, straight at the basket, and then just let the disc do what it does. If it wants to hyzer, if it wants to go straight, if it wants to flip, whatever, so you can see the actual true flight. We're gonna go in a little bit different order this time, but I still want to begin with the Westside Discs Harp in Origio plastic. I started it on hyzer. It stayed on hyzer and flew probably 245, 250, somewhere in that ballpark. Not a great shot, but definitely won't horrible. Here's the compass in Opto plastic. What you should see here is a relatively straight, flat flight. I started with a little bit of hyzer, and you can see that one fade come in. That's probably around the 270, 275 mark. Lucid verdict, very overstable. Try to release it flat. There we go. Got one off flat. You can see it flies relatively straight. Then just about the apex of its flight, about midways of its flight, it begins that fade to the left. And that one went out there. That's probably 285. Here we have the Origio Westside Gatekeeper. Again, try to throw it flat. You can see it flies relatively straight. Once it gets out there and starts to lose energy, then it just kind of fades and falls off to the left. I've got a guy that's getting ready to play to this basket, so I'm trying to hurry up here. The Lucid Bounty. A flip, slide, and then flatten back out before it hits the ground to prevent the cut rolls. And last but not least, the retro fuse. And I do like the retro plastic. What you'll see with this one is a late flip. Flying flat, and then the late flip. Hit the basket.